I was never supposed to be at that party. Not anymore. Still, I showed up. Maybe I thought he would hesitate when he saw me. Maybe I thought 5 years meant something. Maybe I just didn't want to believe it would end like this. I was wrong. Ethan didn't hesitate. He didn't even look surprised. He just looked annoyed. Like I was an inconvenience. Like I had walked into a room I didn't belong in. The music was loud. People were laughing. Glasses clinked somewhere behind me. And right there, in the center of it all, he had his arm around her. Blonde, elegant, perfect posture. The kind of woman who looked like she had never been told no in her life. Chloe. I had seen her before. Just not like this. Not this close. Not with his hand resting so casually on her waist. I felt something crack inside my chest, but I kept walking. One step, then another, until I was standing right in front of them. Ethan sighed. Actually sighed. Like I was exhausting him just by existing. You shouldn't be here, Emma. No greeting, no explanation. Just that. Chloe tilted her head slightly, studying me like I was something curious, but unimportant. Is this her? She asked, her voice soft, almost amused. Ethan didn't even answer her properly. He just tightened his arm around her. Yes, and she's leaving. A few people nearby turned to look. I could feel it. Their eyes, their whispers, waiting, watching. I could have said something. I could have asked why. I could have reminded him of everything we had been through together. But standing there, under those lights, with everyone staring, I suddenly realized none of that mattered. Not here. Not to him. Not anymore. Emma, he added, quieter this time, but sharper. Don't make a scene. A scene. I almost laughed, because to him I was already won, just not the kind that deserved attention. Chloe smiled faintly, as if she had already won something. Maybe she had. I looked at Ethan one last time, really looked, and for the first time, I didn't recognize him. Or maybe I finally saw him clearly. Either way, it didn't change anything. So I nodded. Just once. No words. No drama. I turned around and walked out. The night air hit me the second I stepped outside. Cold, damp, heavy with rain. It had already started pouring. Drops soaked through my dress within seconds, clinging to my skin, dragging me back into my body, back into reality. I kept walking. I didn't know where I was going. Didn't care. The city blurred around me, streetlights stretching into long streaks of gold, cars rushing past, people hurrying under umbrellas that I didn't have. My heels clicked unevenly against the pavement. Then slowed. Then stopped. I stood there, in the middle of the sidewalk, rain running down my face like it was trying to wash something away. Maybe it was. Or maybe nothing could. My phone vibrated in my hand. I hadn't even realized I was holding it. The screen lit up. A notification. No app icon. No name. Just a plain grey box. I frowned slightly and tapped it open. One line. That was all it said. Spend $5. You will receive what you deserve. I stared at it for a few seconds, waiting for something else to appear. Nothing did. A breath left my lips in a quiet, humorless sound. Of course. Scam. Spam. Some kind of glitch. Perfect timing. I almost swiped it away. Almost. But my thumb stopped. Hovering. Because something about it felt deliberate, not urgent, not pushy, just certain. I glanced around. Across the street, a small convenience store glowed under fluorescent lights, its windows fogged from the warmth inside. Without really thinking about it, I crossed the street. The bell above the door chimed as I stepped in. The air inside was warm. Too warm. It wrapped around me, making the cold on my skin suddenly more noticeable. The cashier barely looked up. I walked to the fridge, grabbed the first bottle of water I saw, and brought it to the counter. $5, he said. Of course it was. I handed over the cash. He gave me the change. No hesitation, no reaction, nothing unusual, just a normal transaction. I took the bottle and walked back out into the rain. The door closed behind me. For a second, everything was quiet except for the sound of water hitting concrete. Then, my phone vibrated again. This time, it felt louder. Sharper. I looked down. A new notification. From my bank. My fingers tightened slightly as I opened it. And then, everything else seemed to disappear. The rain. The street. The noise. All of it faded into the background, because the number on the screen was not the same as before. It wasn't even close. My balance had increased. Not by a few dollars. Not by something small enough to ignore. But by 500. I blinked. Once. Then again. My breath caught somewhere in my throat. No. I whispered, barely hearing my own voice. I refreshed the screen. The number didn't change. I checked the transaction history. Nothing unusual. No sender, no explanation, just more money. My pulse started to race, loud, fast, almost painful. Rain continued to fall around me, but I didn't feel it anymore. Didn't feel anything except the growing awareness that something had just happened, something I couldn't explain. My phone vibrated again, same notification, same blank sender. You have completed the first step. I stared at those words, longer this time, and slowly, very slowly, a different feeling began to replace the shock. Not fear, not confusion, something else, something sharper, something dangerous. I lifted my head. Through the rain, the hotel lights still glowed in the distance, warm, bright, untouchable. For now, my grip tightened around my phone. Then I smiled. Not wide, not obvious, just enough. This isn't over, Ethan. My voice was quiet, nearly swallowed by the rain. But I knew, from this moment on, nothing would ever be the same again. I stood there for a long time, maybe a few seconds, maybe a full minute. I couldn't tell. Time felt distorted, like everything had shifted slightly out of place, and I was the only one who noticed. Rain kept falling, cars passed, people moved around me like I didn't exist. But my eyes stayed locked on the number on my screen. $500. From 5, a perfect return. Too perfect. I swallowed slowly, my thoughts finally catching up. Okay, think. There had to be an explanation. A mistake, a glitch, someone testing something rational, something normal, but nothing came. Only one thing did. The message. Spend $5. You will receive what you deserve. I looked back at the convenience store behind me. Light spilling through the glass. Warm, ordinary, safe, and suddenly it didn't feel ordinary anymore. I moved before I could second-guess myself, pushed the door open again. The bell chimed. The cashier glanced up briefly, then looked back down at his phone, like nothing had changed, like everything was still normal. Maybe for him, it was. This time, I didn't hesitate. I walked straight to the shelves, picked up snacks, drinks, random things I didn't even need. Didn't think about what I was grabbing. Only how much. I stopped when my arms felt full, walked to the counter, set everything down. The cashier scanned each item lazily. Beep, beep, beep. $25. Of course. I let out a quiet breath and handed over the cash. My fingers were steady this time. Too steady, like I had already decided something. He gave me the receipt. I didn't take the bag, didn't wait, just turned and walked out again. The door shut behind me. The rain welcomed me back. Cold, sharp, real. And then my phone vibrated. I didn't rush to check it this time. Didn't panic. I just stood there, breathing, counting. 1, 2, 3. I unlocked the screen. Opened the notification. And there it was. My balance. It had increased again, by exactly $2,500. A slow breath left my lips. Not surprise this time, not shock. Confirmation. It worked. Again. Exactly the same pattern. No delay, no error, no randomness, just results. I laughed. Soft at first, then a little louder. Not because it was funny, but because it finally made sense. Not how, not why, but what. This wasn't luck. This wasn't coincidence. This was a system. Simple, clean, brutal. You spend, you get rewarded. My mind started racing. Faster now. Sharper. Clearer than it had been all night. 5 becomes 500. 25 becomes 2,500. Then what about 50? 100, 1,000? I looked down at my wet clothes, my shaking hands, then at the glowing screen in front of me. Numbers that hadn't been there 10 minutes ago. Numbers that changed everything. Another vibration. I looked down again. A new message. Different this time. Longer. Your current level 1 reward multiplier x100. Daily limit, none. My heartbeat slowed, not because I was calming down, but because something inside me had settled, locked into place, like a switch had flipped. No limit, I whispered. The words felt strange in my mouth. Unreal. Dangerous. I lifted my head again. The hotel, still there, still bright. Still full of people who had just watched me walk out like I meant nothing. My grip tightened around the phone, then relaxed, then tightened again. I turned, not toward home, not away from everything, but forward, back into the city, into the lights, into the noise. If this was real, if even half of this was real, then everything that happened tonight, everything he did, everything they saw, it wasn't the end, it was the beginning. I stepped under a streetlight and opened my banking app again, stared at the numbers, then at the message, then back at the numbers. A small smile formed on my lips, calm, controlled, certain. Let's test the limits, I murmured, and this time there was no hesitation at all. The first thing I did wasn't go back to the hotel. Not yet. That would be too impulsive, too emotional, and right now, emotion was the one thing I couldn't afford. I ducked under the awning of a closed cafe, the rain still pouring just inches beyond me, and opened my banking app again. $3,000. Clean. Real. Available. No pending transactions, no warnings, no flags. Whatever this was, it wasn't playing small. All right. I whispered. One more. Something bigger. Something that would prove this wasn't just a lucky pattern. I scanned the street. Across from me, a sleek electronics store still had its lights on. Late hours. Premium products. The kind of place that didn't question customers who looked like they belonged. I didn't look like I belonged. Not in soaked clothes and ruined makeup. But maybe that didn't matter anymore. The door slid open quietly as I stepped inside. Warm air again. Clean. Polished. Expensive. A salesman glanced at me, just for a second, and I caught it. That flicker of judgment. Quick. Subtle. But there. Good. Let him look. I walked straight to the display. Laptops, headphones, phones. My eyes landed on one. Minimalist design. Thin. Sharp. A price tag just beneath it. $1,000. Perfect. Can I help you with that? The salesman asked, walking over, tone polite but distant. I picked it up. It's fine. I'll take this one. He blinked slightly. Maybe he didn't expect that answer. Maybe he thought I was just browsing. Right. I'll get that ready for you. At the counter, everything felt slower. More deliberate. He boxed it carefully, wrapped it, placed it in a branded bag. Professional. Controlled. Like this was a normal sale. $1,000, he said. I didn't hesitate. I tapped my card. Approved. For a split second, nothing happened. Just silence. The faint hum of the store lights. The soft tapping of rain against glass. Then, my phone vibrated. I didn't move immediately. Didn't rush. I just looked at the salesman, smiled faintly, took the bag, have a good night, and walked out. The moment the door closed behind me, I unlocked my phone, opened the notification, and there it was. $100,000. My steps stopped instantly, right there on the sidewalk. People brushed past me, annoyed, unaware, but I didn't move, didn't blink. Stat didn't breathe. 1,000 into 100,000, exactly. No deviation, no delay. My fingers trembled slightly this time. Not from fear, not from confusion, but from something heavier, something deeper. Power. I checked again. Refreshed. Open transaction history. Still nothing. No source. No trace. Just money. Sitting there like it had always belonged to me. Another vibration. You have reached level 2. Reward multiplier increased. X100. X200. New feature unlocked. Control spend. My eyes narrowed slightly. Control spend. Before I could think further, the screen shifted. A new interface appeared. Clean. Dark. Minimal. A single line of text. Select your reward intention before spending. Below it, options. Cash, assets, influence, reputation. I stared at them. Each word felt heavier than it should, like it meant more than what it said. Assets, I murmured. Influence. This wasn't just about money anymore. I slowly exhaled. Rain still falling, city still moving, but everything had changed. Again, my reflection stared back at me from the black screen. Wet hair, sharp eyes, different, not broken, not humiliated, focused. I lifted my gaze and there it was. The hotel, still glowing in the distance. Still full of people who thought they understood how the world worked. I tapped the screen, selected reputation. A small confirmation blinked, choice locked. Then I smiled, this time wider, colder. Let's go back, I said softly, and started walking. By the time I reached the hotel, the rain had slowed to a thin, steady drizzle, the kind that didn't soak you anymore, just lingered, like a reminder. The entrance glowed under soft golden lights, valleys, polished cars, laughter spilling faintly from inside. Everything looked exactly the same as before, untouched, unchanged. But I wasn't. I stepped inside. Heads didn't turn immediately. Why would they? To them, I was just another guest walking in from the rain. Good. I moved past the front desk without stopping, my reflection briefly catching in the marble behind it. Still wet, still wearing the same dress, but there was something else now. Something subtle, sharp. The elevator doors opened with a quiet chime. I stepped in, pressed the same floor. As the doors closed, my phone vibrated. Reputation sequence initiated. I didn't react. Didn't need to. The elevator began to rise. Slow, smooth, controlled. each second stretching longer than it should. Ding! The doors opened, and the sound hit me first. Music, louder this time, voices layered over each other. Energy. The party was still alive. I stepped out, walked forward, and this time, people noticed. Not all at once, not dramatically, just gradual glance, then another, a pause mid-conversation, a shift in tone. It started small, but it spread. By the time I reached the main room, it was undeniable. Someone near the bar frowned slightly like they were trying to remember something. A girl whispered to her friend, eyes still on me. A man straightened his posture as I passed. Recognition, but not the kind from before. Not curiosity, not judgment. Something else. Respect. I didn't slow down, didn't acknowledge it, I just kept walking. And then I saw them. Ethan, Chloe, exactly where I left them. Like time hadn't touched them either. Except it had. Ethan noticed me first. His expression shifted instantly. Confusion, then something sharper. He stepped forward slightly, like he wasn't sure if he should. Emma, the way he said my name, different, not annoyed, not dismissive, careful. Chloe turned next, her eyes landed on me, and for a split second, her smile faltered. There it was. I stopped a few steps away, close enough, not too close. Silence stretched between us. The music faded into the background, or maybe it just didn't matter anymore. Ethan cleared his throat. You came back. I tilted my head slightly. Is that a problem? He hesitated, actually hesitated. No, he stopped, didn't finish the sentence, because he didn't know how. Good. Chloe recovered faster. Of course she did. She smiled again, polished, controlled. I didn't expect to see you again tonight, she said lightly. I met her gaze, held it. Funny, I replied. I was thinking the same thing. Another pause, shorter this time, tighter. Ethan shifted beside her. His attention kept flickering back to me, like something wasn't adding up. You look different, he said slowly. I almost smiled. Do I? Before he could answer, another voice cut in. Emma Carter? We all turned. A man in a tailored suit was approaching, mid-40s, confident, the kind of presence people made space for without realizing it. And they did. The crowd parted slightly as he stepped closer, eyes following him, then shifting to me. He stopped right in front of me and smiled. Finally, I was wondering when you'd arrive. Ethan blinked. What? The man extended his hand. To me. I've been trying to reach you all evening, he continued. Your assistant said you might still come. Assistant? Ethan looked at me again. This time, really looked. Emma, what is he talking about? I didn't answer him. I shook the man's hand instead. Firm, steady. My phone was off, I said calmly. Didn't want to be disturbed. Understandable, he nodded, given the circumstances. Chloe's composure cracked, just a little. What circumstances? The man glanced at her briefly, then back at me. Your acquisition, he said. As of tonight, it's official. Silence. Heavy. Immediate. Ethan's voice came out lower. Acquisition? I finally turned to him, met his eyes. The company, I said simply. His expression froze. The one you've been trying to close for the past 6 months. A beat. I bought it. No one spoke. No one moved. The air itself felt different. Ethan's face drained of color. That's not possible. I held his gaze, calm, unshaken. And yet, I said quietly, it already happened. Another vibration in my hand. You have successfully used reputation. Result, authority established. I didn't need to look. I could already see it, in their eyes, in the silence, in the way the entire room had shifted without anyone understanding why. And for the first time that night, I felt it. Complete, controlled. I smiled slightly. Now, I said softly, shall we talk business? No one answered immediately. They didn't need to. The silence said everything. Ethan stared at me like the ground beneath him had just disappeared, like everything he thought he understood, about me, about tonight, about control, was slipping out of his hands. That's not possible, he repeated, quieter this time, not arguing, not denying, just trying to hold on to something that no longer existed. I stepped a little closer, not enough to close the distance, just enough to make him feel it. You're right, I said calmly. It shouldn't be. His jaw tightened. Emma, stop playing games. That deal is worth. He cut himself off, because he knew. I tilted my head slightly. More than you could secure. I finished for him. Chloe crossed her arms, her voice sharper now. If this is some kind of stunt. It's not, the man in the suit interrupted smoothly. All eyes shifted to him. He adjusted his cufflinks, completely at ease. The transfer has already gone through, legally binding, fully funded. Chloe blinked. That's impossible, we would have known. He gave a small, polite smile. You would have if you were still part of the negotiation. That landed. Hard. Ethan took a step forward, toward me. Who backed you? He demanded. I met his gaze, didn't look away. No one. A lie. And not a lie. Because how do you explain something like this? You don't. His eyes searched mine, for doubt, for hesitation, for the girl who had stood here an hour ago, quiet, hurt, dismissed. She wasn't there anymore. You expect me to believe that? He asked. I shrugged lightly. You don't have to. Another pause. Tighter now. More dangerous. Chloe let out a short laugh, but there was no humor in it. This is ridiculous. Even if, somehow this is real, it doesn't change anything. I looked at her. Really looked this time, doesn't it? Her smile faltered again, just for a second. Ethan exhaled slowly, trying to regain control. This doesn't concern you, Chloe. That was new. She turned to him sharply. Excuse me? He didn't answer her. His focus was entirely on me now. Emma, he said, more measured. If you've actually done this, then we need to talk. There it was. Not dismissal. Not irritation. Need. I let the moment stretch. Just enough. About what? I asked. He frowned. You know exactly what. I shook my head slightly. No, I said. I don't think I do. Because the truth was, whatever he thought we needed to talk about was already irrelevant. Chloe stepped in again, her tone colder. Ethan, this is getting out of hand. He didn't even look at her this time. Give us a minute, he said. Not asked. Said. That was the moment everything shifted, not in the room, but between them. Chloe's expression hardened. You're serious right now? Still no answer. Her eyes flicked to me, and for the first time, there was no amusement left, no superiority, just calculation. Be careful, she said quietly, not to Ethan. To me. I held her gaze, unmoved. Always am. She watched me for 1 second longer, then turned and walked away. Just like I had. But it didn't feel the same. The room breathed again, soft noise returning, whispers rising. But none of it touched us. Ethan ran a hand through his hair, tension finally showing. Okay, what the hell is going on? I smiled faintly. Depends on what you're asking. He stepped closer, lowered his voice. You don't have the capital for something like that. Not even close. Had. I corrected. His eyes sharpened. That's not something that changes overnight. I met his gaze. Everything changes overnight. A beat. You just didn't see it coming. That hit. He studied me in silence, longer this time, trying to rebuild the version of me he understood, trying to fit this into something logical. He couldn't. Finally he exhaled. Fine, then let's stop pretending. I said nothing. You want something, he continued. You didn't come back here just to show off. There it was again. Control, strategy, the version of him I used to admire. I let a small smile form, slow, deliberate. You're right. His shoulders relaxed, just slightly, like he was back on familiar ground. So what is it? I took 1 step closer, closed the space between us completely. Close enough that only he could hear me. You. His breath hitched, just barely, not because of the word, because of how I said it. Then I stepped back. His confusion returned instantly. What? I tilted my head, calm, unreadable. I want you, I repeated. Silence, not the same kind as before. This one, heavier, more dangerous. Ethan stared at me, trying to decide if this was a trap, a bluff, or something worse. I held his gaze, didn't blink, because now, for the first time all night, he didn't know what I was going to do next. And that was exactly where I wanted him. For a moment, Ethan didn't speak, didn't move, didn't even try to hide it, that flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. Me? He repeated, slower now, careful, like the word itself might be dangerous. I nodded once, simple, certain. That's right. He let out a short breath, something between a laugh and disbelief. You just bought a company I've been chasing for months, walked back in here like you owned the room. His eyes locked onto mine. And now you're saying you want me? I didn't answer immediately. I let him sit in it, Feel it. Because this wasn't about the words, it was about control. You're not that hard to understand, Ethan, I said finally. His jaw tightened. That's funny, because right now I have no idea who you are. Good. You don't need to, I replied. Not yet. Another pause. Shorter, tighter. What does that even mean? He asked. I took a step past him. Not away, just enough to break the direct line between us. Force him to turn. If I said I want you back, I continued, you'd think this is about feelings. He didn't interrupt. Didn't deny it. If I said I want to work with you, I added, you'd think this is about business. He turned fully now, watching me, carefully. So which is it? He asked. I glanced at him over my shoulder, a faint smile forming. Neither. That landed harder than anything else. His brows pulled together. Then what is it, Tubaflet? I walked toward the bar, fingers brushing lightly against the edge as I stopped. The bartender straightened instantly. Whiskey, I said. Neat. No hesitation. No delay. Respect. The glass was placed in front of me within seconds. I didn't drink it, just held it. Do you remember, I said slowly, the night you told me I wasn't enough? Silence. Ethan didn't answer, but I saw it. In the way his expression shifted, he remembered. Ha! You said I was too emotional, I continued. Too unpredictable, not strategic enough for the kind of life you wanted. His voice came lower this time. Emma, I raised a hand slightly, stopping him. I listened, I said. That was the truth. I believed you. A beat. And tonight, I added softly, you proved me right. His eyes darkened. That's not what happened. I finally took a small sip of the whiskey. Burning, sharp, grounding, isn't it? I asked. He stepped closer again. Frustration building now. This isn't fair. I almost smiled. Fair, I repeated. The word sounded foreign, out of place. You left me in front of a room full of people, I said calmly. Told me not to make a scene. His expression tightened. And I didn't, I added. Another sip. Slower this time. But now, I set the glass down. Soft, controlled. I get to decide what happens next. Silence pressed in again. Lovdizga, not loud, not dramatic. Heavy. Ethan exhaled sharply. So this is revenge. I met his gaze. Steady. No, I said. He didn't believe that. I could see it. Then what? He pushed. I stepped closer again, closing the distance, not aggressively, not emotionally. Deliberately. This, I said quietly, is opportunity. He frowned. For you? He asked. For us, I corrected. That threw him off again. You don't get it yet, I continued. But you will. Another vibration in my hand. I didn't check it. Didn't need to. Emma, he said, voice lower now, almost cautious. What are you doing? I held his gaze for a second longer, then leaned in, just enough that my voice didn't carry beyond him. I'm giving you a choice. His breath slowed. What kind of choice? I smiled slightly. Cold, measured, the kind you never gave me. I stepped back, creating space again. And for the first time, he didn't follow immediately. He stayed there, thinking, calculating. Good, because now he was exactly where I needed him to be. Uncertain. I picked up my glass again, turned slightly toward the room. Eyes were still on us, whispers still moving, energy still shifting. But it didn't matter anymore. Another soft vibration. This time, I glanced down. Reputation stabilized, influence threshold reached, new option unlocked, control people. My fingers paused on the screen, just for a second. Then a slow smile formed. I looked back at Ethan. Think carefully, I said. Because now, the game wasn't just mine to play. It was his to survive. Ethan didn't answer right away, but I could see it. The shift behind his eyes. He wasn't reacting anymore. He was thinking, calculating, weighing risk against reward. Just like he always did. All right, he said finally, voice steadier now. Let's say I'm listening. I nodded slightly. Good. The room felt quieter again, not because the music had stopped, but because attention had focused. On us. You said this is an opportunity, he continued. Then stop talking in circles and explain it. Direct, efficient, familiar. I leaned back against the bar, relaxed, in control. You've been trying to acquire that company for 6 months, I said. Why? His eyes narrowed slightly. That's not relevant. It is, I replied calmly, because I need to know if you're still worth my time. That hit, harder than before. A flicker of irritation crossed his face, but he didn't snap, didn't push back, Because now, he couldn't afford to. It gives access to a network, he said after a beat. Logistics, data, contracts, it opens doors, I nodded. Exactly. He frowned. You already know that. Yes, I said, but I wanted to hear if you understood it. Silence, short, sharp. Ethan exhaled slowly. Okay, you have the company. What do you want from me? There it was again, that question. I straightened slightly, met his gaze. I want you to run it. His expression froze. For me, I added. The words settled between us. Heavy, unavoidable. You're serious, he said. Not a question. Completely. He let out a quiet breath, shook his head once. You don't trust me, he said. I didn't deny it. I trust your ability, I replied, not your loyalty. A beat. That's why this works. He stared at me, trying to find the angle, the catch. There's always a catch, he said. I smiled slightly. Of course there is. I reached into my bag, pulled out my phone, tapped once. The interface appeared again. Dark, minimal, precise. I selected Control People. A new line of text appeared. Target required. I looked up, met his eyes, and tapped his name. For a split second, nothing happened. Then my phone vibrated. Ethan Blake compatibility, high control type available, incentive/pressure, dependency. My pulse stayed steady. Let me show you, I said softly. He frowned. Show me what? I stepped closer, close enough that only he could hear. A future where you don't walk away from me again. Before he could react, another vibration. Select method. I didn't hesitate. Incentive. The screen dimmed, then one final line appeared. Execution in progress. I lowered my phone. Ethan's expression shifted, subtle but unmistakable. Not confusion, not fear. Focus. What are you offering? He asked. I smiled, slow, controlled. Everything you've been chasing, I said, without the risk of losing it. His breathing changed, just slightly. And what do you get? He asked. I held his gaze, didn't look away. You, I said again. But this time it didn't sound the same. It wasn't emotional. It was ownership. Silence stretched longer than before. Then he nodded, small, almost invisible, but real. Okay, Ethan said quietly. I'm in. Control established, incentive successful. I exhaled slowly. Not relief, not excitement. Confirmation. Across the room, Chloe stood near the edge of the crowd, watching, her expression unreadable, but her eyes locked on us. She knew, not what I did, but that something had changed. And she wasn't wrong, because this time when I looked at Ethan, he didn't feel distant anymore. He felt close, exactly where I wanted him. I picked up my glass again, finished the last of the whiskey, then set it down, soft, final. Welcome back, I said. And this time, he didn't leave. Ethan didn't move, not away, not closer. He just stood there like he was adjusting to something he couldn't quite name. All right, he said after a moment. If I'm in, then we do this properly. I raised an eyebrow slightly. Define properly. His expression sharpened. Structure, control, clear terms. A small smile touched my lips. There it was again, the version of him that built things, not just chased them. Go on, I said. If I'm running this, he continued, I need full operational authority, no interference. I didn't answer immediately, just watched him, measured. And transparency, he added, where the capital is coming from, what the long-term play is. No, the word cut through cleanly. He stopped, frowned. No transparency, I repeated calmly. That's not how this works, he said, frustration creeping back in. It is now. Silence. He studied me again, trying to decide if this was negotiable. It wasn't. Then why me, he asked. If you don't trust me and you won't give me full visibility, why put me in charge at all? I stepped closer, just enough. Because, I said quietly, you don't need to understand the system to benefit from it. His eyes narrowed. And because, I added, you're predictable. That one landed. His jaw tightened. Predictable. Yes. I didn't soften it, didn't explain it away. You move toward power, I said, toward growth, toward anything that gives you an edge. A beat. And right now, I finished, that's me. Silence. Heavy. He exhaled slowly, not denying it, not agreeing, just accepting the truth of it. Fine, he said at last. Then I want results. You'll get them. Fast. They're already happening. He glanced around the room briefly, at the people watching, at the shift in energy that hadn't gone away. Yeah, he admitted under his breath, another vibration. I glanced down. Influence expanding, new targets available. A list appeared, names, faces, profiles, people in this room. I didn't react outwardly, but I understood. This wasn't just about Ethan anymore. This was scalable. I locked the screen, looked back at him. He'll start tomorrow, I said. He blinked. Tomorrow. Early. That's aggressive. I tilted my head. Is that a problem? A pause. Then, no. Of course not. Good. We stood there for a second longer, neither of us speaking. Then his voice lowered slightly. Emma. I met his eyes. What is this really? Not business, not control, not even curiosity. Something deeper. I held his gaze for just a moment, then looked past him. Chloe was still there, still watching. I smiled faintly. It's evolution, I said, and walked past him. This time, he turned to follow. Not because I asked, because he chose to. Another vibration. Dependency forming, control strength increasing. I didn't check it, didn't need to. I could feel it. Step by step, the balance was shifting. And this time, I wasn't the one trying to hold on. I was the one letting go of doubt, of hesitation, of everything that made me weak before. The elevator doors opened again as I approached. I stepped inside, pressed the lobby. A second later, Ethan stepped in too. The doors closed, silence, just the two of us. Different now, completely different. You're not the same person, he said quietly. I didn't look at him. No, I replied. A beat. Neither are you, I added. The elevator descended, smooth, controlled, like everything else. When the doors opened, I walked out first. He followed. And behind us, the world we knew before felt smaller, less important, almost irrelevant. Outside, the rain had stopped completely. The city lights reflected on wet pavement. Clean, sharp, endless. I took a slow breath, then stepped forward, because now this wasn't just a comeback. It was a takeover. The city felt different after midnight, quieter, sharper, like everything unnecessary had been stripped away. Ethan walked beside me, not speaking, but not leaving either. That alone said more than anything he could have said out loud. Where are we going? He finally asked. I didn't slow down. You'll see. We crossed the street, the glow of the hotel fading behind us. Ahead, the financial district stretched into glass and steel, cold, expensive, alive even at this hour. My phone vibrated. Active control maintained, new directive available, expand influence radius. I ignored it, for now. Tonight wasn't about expansion. Not yet. Tonight was about proof. We stopped in front of a high rise. 40 floors at least, minimal branding, the kind of building that didn't need to show off. Ethan glanced up, then at me. You own this too? Not yet, I said. But we're about to. He let out a quiet breath. Half disbelief, half something else. Emma, he said, tone lower now, more grounded. You don't just walk into places like this and decide to buy them. I turned to him, held his gaze. Watch me. We stepped inside. The lobby was nearly empty, a security guard at the desk, a receptionist behind glass. Both looked up the moment we entered, and just like before, something shifted, subtle but immediate. The guard straightened, the receptionist's expression changed, polite, attentive. Good evening, she said quickly. Do you have an appointment? I walked forward without stopping. Call Mr. Laurent. Ethan's eyes flicked toward me. You know him. I will. The receptionist hesitated, just for a second, then picked up the phone. Yes, miss, she asked. Carter, she repeated it softly into the receiver, paused, listened. And then, her posture changed completely. Yes, of course, she said quickly. I'll send them up right away. She hung up, looked at me again, but this time, there was no question. Top floor, she said. The elevator doors opened instantly. Ethan didn't speak as we stepped inside, didn't question it. Because at this point, he was done doubting. The ride-up was silent, but not empty. His attention stayed on me, studying, reevaluating. Every door just opens for you now, he asked finally. I didn't look at him. They always did, I said. Just not like this. Ding. The doors opened. A private office. Floor-to-ceiling windows, city lights stretching endlessly beyond them, and a man waiting. Mid-50s, composed, powerful in the quiet kind of way. "Miss Carter," he said with a slight smile, "I was wondering when I'd hear from you." Ethan stopped walking, just slightly. "You know her too?" he asked. The man, Laurent, glanced at him briefly, then back at me. "Should I?" he replied calmly. I stepped forward, extended my hand. "You should now." He shook it, firm, measured. "I like that," he said. I smiled faintly. "Let's not waste time. Straight to the point." He gestured toward the seating area. "Of course." We sat, Ethan across from me, Laurent beside the window. "What exactly are you proposing?" Laurent asked. I didn't hesitate. "I want your building." Silence. Even Ethan turned his head slightly. Laurent didn't react immediately, just studied me. "That's not something I'm selling," he said. I nodded. "I know." "Then why are we having this conversation?" I leaned forward slightly. "Because you're about to." A pause. His eyes sharpened. "And what makes you so certain?" I held his gaze. "Because I'm not offering you money." That got his attention. Ethan frowned slightly. "Then what are you offering?" Laurent asked. I let the moment stretch, just enough. Then I glanced down at my phone. Selected. Influence. Execution in progress. I looked back up. "Something better," I said. Silence. "Ben?" Laurent leaned back slightly, as if reconsidering something internal. His expression shifted, not dramatically, but enough. "Go on," he said. Ethan noticed it too. I could feel it. "The change. I give you expansion," I continued. "Access to networks you don't have, markets you haven't touched, growth without resistance." Laurent's fingers tapped lightly against the armrest, thinking, and in return he asked, "Control," I said simply. Another pause. Then he nodded, slow, deliberate. "Interesting." Ethan leaned forward slightly, watching this unfold in real time. Because this wasn't negotiation. This was something else. My phone vibrated. "Influence successful. Agreement likelihood 92%. I didn't look, didn't need to. Laurent stood, walked toward the window, looked out over the city, then spoke without turning back. "If I agree," he said, "this changes everything." I stood too. That's the point. A long pause. Then he turned and smiled. "Then let's change it." Ethan exhaled quietly, because now he understood. This wasn't luck, this wasn't timing, this was power. And I had all of it. Another vibration. Influence network expanding. Next phase unlocked. I looked out over the city, lights stretching endlessly. And for the first time, it didn't feel out of reach. It felt like mine.